Hi guys, welcome back. So it's been a little while since I've actually been on camera. I hope you've been enjoying the effects series, trying out different pedals on bass, whether made for bass or made for guitar or whatever I managed to get my hands onto. Please do continue to comment on those and let me know anything you really want me to try. If I've got it, if I can get my hands on it, I'll do it for you, or any comparisons that you want to run. Especially after following on from my OC2 Boss Octave Showdown. The OC5 has just been announced a couple of days before this video, so I'm waiting for that. It should be coming towards the end of the month, and I will do a very close comparison of that with the original OC2. Boss are promising a lot of things. I'm remaining skeptical, but we shall see. But for this today, I want to introduce a short series about changing strings, setting up, intonating, making lots of changes on your bass, a regular setup thing. Now, to introduce to these, I tend to change my strings and do a general check over and setup on my bass roughly around once every 8 months. Now, I have 4 electric basses that I run in rotation, and so it works out as roughly about 2 months worth of use for any set of strings. That's probably a lot more than some people like to use. It's less than other people like to use. How long you leave your strings on your bass is entirely a personal preference thing. What I would say is they just need changing at the point where the tone changes beyond what you'd like to hear. What I would say, though, with the rest of this series is a regular check over and setup of your bass is really important to do, and as a minimum, I would say you want to be doing this at least once a year. Whether or not you change the strings in that time, it doesn't matter. The rest of this will still be relevant for you. So today we're going to be doing this on my jazz bass, and we're going to be doing a little bit more as well. So while I'm changing the strings over, these are, I believe, D'Addario NYXLs, 45 to 105. I'm just trying out a few different things at the moment. So these are going to be changing over to Dunlop Super Brights, and actually the Marcus Miller Signature edition ones of those. Love Marcus, great player. Not specifically buying it because of him, but I've heard good things about those strings, so I'm going to give them a go. They are the same gauges, 45 to 105, but I believe that they'll have slightly lower tension, so it will require some different setup on the bass. So we'll be going over, changing the strings, taking them off, putting them back on, giving your bass a clean check-up, setup, intonating the bass, and everything really you need to go over onto that. As a sideline to that, I'm also doing a bit of a strip down and an upgrade of some parts of this bass. Sorry, just had lunch, so bear with me. So I've been looking at a few components that I can upgrade in this bass. This is really my main recording and gigging bass. The other ones I use for specific things, but this is my go-to for anything and everything, really. And while a few bits have been changed, I put in the drop D tuner, the scratch plates changed, that's really only cosmetic. The electrics, the pickups, the wiring, the bridge here with the grounding is all pretty much still stock from when I bought the bass 20 years ago. So just looking at what I can do to really upgrade it, get the best out of this bass that I can. I didn't want to change anything just because. I really wanted to have a good reason behind upgrading parts of this bass. And ideally for me, what I wanted to be able to do is to change things, upgrade things, but not physically, permanently change the instrument. So everything I'm going to be doing today will be a dropping change component-wise, but won't require any routing, won't require any change to the wood. It'll be the screws out of the components in here at the moment, back into the same screw holes that we've got at the moment. So starting at the very basics, the bridge piece here is a standard late 90s Fender stock bridge. This one is actually through body stringing, so the strings actually pass through the wood of the instrument. And while this is perfectly functional, it's always sounded good, it's never been a problem to me, it's not the most advanced piece of kit. Now, there are loads and loads of bridges you can get, aftermarket bridges you can do put onto a Fender bass. Fender really good for just trying stuff out on. But what I really didn't want to lose was that through-body stringing, because I think that the strings going through the wood of the instrument really adds something to the reverberation of them strings through the instrument themselves. So I looked at various options that I had, and there are loads that are drop-in components here. Only one or two that you could get that actually fitted into this specific bass, same screw holes, and with the through-body stringing. One or two that rather dramatically changed the look of the piece, which I didn't really want to do, and some that added an awful lot of extra metal to this point. Now, there's a lot of debate raging online about bridges that are high mass and what they add to the instrument, and whether they add something good or whether they don't add something good. So, you can go read up about that for yourself. What I decided to go with is a very simple upgrade, which is just a more modern Fender American bridge. Now, what they've done over the last few years since this instrument came out, the last sort of 20 years or so, they've been slowly changing these. And this unit, which I'll bring up a bit closer, is just a slightly chunkier piece of metal. It's a little bit longer. It's nothing too much different. It doesn't look dramatically different from the stock piece that I've got on there, but it uses the same screw holes. We'll go through the through-body stringing. It does increase the mass a little bit, but not dramatically. But most importantly for me here, these saddles actually sit in grooves in the metal. So with these ones, they're just on the metal base plate and can move side to side just a little bit. It's not a major problem, but to reduce that as much as possible is a good thing. So the saddles on here sit in the grooves and will be solid. So that'll slot in there. It'll be a slight increase there, and that'll be a good thing. The pickups I'm changing over, and we're moving over to a set of Aguilar 4JHC pickups. Now, these are still single coils. I didn't want to lose that single coil tone, but what these add to the piece are hum cancelling setups. So single coils are well known for humming, bringing hum into the signal, and I didn't really want to go humbuckers because that changes the tone quite a bit. But what these are split coils. Now, if I can get this out, there we go. You can see that rather than one single coil that goes through the whole piece, it's actually two separate coils sitting in sets of two. And the effect of those sitting side by side is that you can use either both pickups together or individual pickups, and you lose that hum, which is really important and really useful. And tone-wise, they're supposed to sit somewhere between a sort of 60s warmth and a 70s punch. We'll find out once we get them in there. But looking forward to seeing that how that comes out. Lastly, we're changing up the wiring here to a John East UK J-Tone circuit, and this is not the J-Retro circuit. I did look at the J-Retro. There's a lot of bells and whistles in that thing. It does a lot more than this one does, but I also kind of like just keeping a nice simple jazz bass setup. And what the J-Tone does is that you've always got, in this case, a volume and a blend. You can have it volume, but a volume blend and a passive tone. Just your usual standard passive jazz bass circuit. And that's always on. That's always available to you. When you slip it on, you've got a push-pull switch on there. You can have an active bass and treble boost or cut. And also, it's a little bit more versatile because underneath you can actually set the frequencies that they boost and cut. It's got a pot there. You can actually change the value of the tone control, the passive tone control as well. You can actually add a whole boost to the overall circuit. So you can either have it so the active circuit is the same unity value as passive, or you can have a boost when you switch it on. I'll probably keep that fairly simple. Just keep the bass and treble as boosts there. And so that, again, comes on its own plate. So this old one's going to come out. That's going to slot straight in. And especially for this one, there are a lot of active circuits for the jazz bass out there. But the John East ones come fitted so that the battery actually sits underneath the circuit in the same cavity. So you don't need to drill out a battery compartment. which is really good. It means I don't have to change this thing. And, you know, this is solderless wiring. It screws into screw terminals, so I don't have to do any of that business. My wiring skill is limited, so if the whole thing just fails me today, then I can always just pop this old one back into the cavity. No changes need to be made, and we can get on with it. So there'll be a few videos of this series. Hoping to get it all done in one day. It's quite a lot to do, and it takes a lot of time I'm working through it and explaining it. But hopefully it'll go well, and I'll see you in the next video.